make an opening statement, and then we'll take some questions. You guys in black are good? All right. Coach, go right ahead.
Homecoming week at the birthplace of homecoming. I believe our theme is First and Finest, which is an awesome theme, and I know not only is our university community very excited about it, I know our Columbia community is very excited. I know my family is very excited about the parade, and our team is excited to play on Saturday at a sold-out Faurot Field. Very thankful to our fans. What a awesome thing for them to continue to respond and show up at Faurot and give us home field advantage. We obviously know we got a difficult challenge on Saturday. I have a lot of respect for South Carolina and their program. They haven't had the results they've wanted. I believe there's a statistic out there that they may have faced the toughest schedule in the country as far as teams with winning percentages. And we know that they're a very good football team with some very elite players. They have a premier quarterback in Spencer Rattler who is playing at an extremely high level, throwing the ball very well. His pocket presence is very good. He's very comfortable. I think Dow Loggins, the new offensive coordinator, has proved to be very impactful and influential in their offensive system and is doing a really good job. Xavier Leggett has come on as, last year he was a very dynamic special teams player, and now he is a complete wide receiver who is very difficult to match up just because of his size and speed. So we have a very difficult challenge ahead of us. Defensively, they're always challenging. I think Coach White does a really good job utilizing his scheme and talent within the scheme. He always has a few different wrinkles that you're not quite prepared for, and so our team is going to have to do a good job. Our quarterback and our offensive line is going to have to do a good job with that. Pete Limbo, their special teams coordinator, is outstanding. They always present multiple challenges through fake punts, through going for two, through onside kicks, through multiplicity of returns and blocks. So, they do a really good job of getting the most out of their team and making it real difficult for your team. But for us and our team, it's really got to be about our process and being process-oriented. We can't be an emotionally driven team that relies on the emotional ups and downs of the team. I really challenge our guys to refrain from searching out the praise on social media and becoming numb to improvement. We really have to improve. And I think what happens is, you go looking for pats on the back instead of being critical or hard on yourself and saying, I need to be uncomfortable to continue to grow. And that's really what our team needs to do to have success this week. You look back at the game, we didn't play particularly well in a lot of areas. Defensively, a really slow start. Did not fit the run well, did not adjust emotions well, did not have our eyes in the right opportunity or in the right places, and things that have to get fixed there. Offensively, we started extremely slow, turned the ball over, didn't run efficiently throughout the game, had to settle for field goals, didn't capitalize on takeaways. Special teams, we had the field goal block. So when you look at the totality of the tape, you realize that we can't be satisfied with just winning. We've got to be focused on improving. And I'm not taking anything away from our win. We did some really, really good things, and I'm really proud of the fight that we showed, the second and third quarter, middle eight, the forcing of takeaways. All of those are great, but we got to improve. And I think for us, it's a big focusing on us and controlling the things that we can control. I cannot, nor can our team, control what South Carolina is going to do from a schematic standpoint. All we can focus on is improving our techniques and fundamentals and making sure that we're seeking growth opportunities and not becoming comfortable with that win. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Eli, have you kind of seen, kind of along that note you were just mentioning with improvement, have you seen your captains kind of take that initiative, Brady and Cody and Javon and Darius, to kind of challenge the team to be critical?
Yeah, I think those guys have been outstanding leaders. And I saw it yesterday in our film session. I thought those guys really were attentive to detail, attentive to the things that the coaches are asking them to improve upon. I think you saw it in the play that both D-Rob and Johnny Walker had. Coach Peeps' one area of improvement over the last 6 weeks was affecting the quarterback to create pressure and force takeaways, which I think showed up in that game. So I know our guys are doing that, but we got to make sure that not only from the coaching staff to the players to everybody, we got to continue to find ways to improve.
What do you think it says that you're 6-1 in the position you're in, and I think you would agree, you probably haven't really played a complete game yet?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, and it's hard to play a complete game. I mean, I think back to my head coaching career, I can think of maybe 2 or 3 where a team completely played complete for 4 quarters. There's always going to be ebbs and flows and ups and downs, but I do think that there's still a significant amount of improvement that we can make as a football team. And I think, one of the things that Coach Malzahn used to always preach when I was with him is great teams get better every week. They find a way to get better every week. And, I think, we're in the middle of that part of the season where you can either choose to be tired and choose to let the grind get to your mind, or you can choose to improve. And that has to be a choice. And I can say it all I want, but we have to choose it as a team, starting with Toughness Tuesday. We got to choose to go out there and practice the right way. Winning doesn't negotiate. I mean, it costs what it costs to win football games, and, we got to pay the price.
Is that where, some of the examples that Brady has set early this season, I'm sure D-Rob still had to power through some stuff. I mean, are those
Yeah.
examples really powerful this time?
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys in this football team who have gone through a lot of adversity here and seen in the past teams not fulfill what they're capable of, and so I think that sits in the back of our minds. So I think we're all conscious of it, but we got to sometimes remind ourselves what we need to do in order to have success this week.
Coach, have you been getting what you want or need out of your linebacker group so far?
I think we've got a lot of things that we can continue to improve on. I think the reality of it is with our defense that, we're predominantly a single gap defense that has overlap with the safeties and in the star position. So sometimes the gap integrity can get, messed up. I think one of the things that happened in the Kentucky game was they were changing our split flow rules based off who was coming back on the duo play and stuff, and so that was dirtying our eyes up a little bit. We've had some inconsistencies with having to rotate players back and forth with Chad and Chuck and Day-Day. I've been very pleased with Tyron Hopper. I think he's developing into a very consistent, durable will linebacker who's being more effective in the game than maybe he was even last year. I think last year he made some really good plays, but we were blitzing him a lot. Now he's having to play football and playing a complete will linebacker position. So I am not dissatisfied, but I do know that we all believe that we can play better. With that question, I would like to update. Chad Bailey will be out this week. Just feel like that he's not where he needs to be from a health standpoint, and need to give him a week to, and hopefully really give him the 2 weeks with the bye coming up to try to get his core injury better. Not feeling like he can play to the level he wants. Ennis Rakestraw will be questionable this week. We'll see what he can do in practice the next 2 days and make a call towards the later part of the week. Cody Schrader would be questionable this week, wasn't able to finish the game with the quad, and I think that's really all I have from an injury update.
Last year on homecoming, you said after the Baylor game, seeing a packed homecoming crowd makes you fall in love with the university and fan base all over again. Do you expect that to be the same case this Saturday?
That's a pretty poetic statement. I'm glad I made it. Yeah, sure, hope so. It's good to see you. Last time I saw you, you were frustrated outside of a.
I appreciate you talking to me outside.
Yeah, I'd hate for you to miss your coverage. Yep.
We were talking about third down defense. First half, you guys seems like you get 4-7. In the second half, it was 1-7. How you guys kind of keep up consistency and bring up that third down defense from the second half to this week?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think third downs are going to be a critical juncture in this game for us. I've already challenged both coordinators that we need a really good plan. I think we're both about statistically even on how we offensively what we are, defensively what they allow, offensively what they are, and defensively what we allow. I think one of the issues was we were able to consistently create pressure in the second half, but not have to sell out to zero blitz to try to create the pressure and still create some coverage opportunities for us. And I think also having them in critical down or further down in distances. Our havoc rate was actually what we wanted it to be this week, which is only the second time it happened in the 7 games. So winning first and second down makes third downs a little bit easier.
When it comes to plays like the fake punt, I mean, you've spoken to got to be the right situation, right scheme situation. How much of those is also the demeanor and mindset within the program to want to look for those situations and scheme to it, and, for lack of a better phrase, take a chance when you see it?
Yeah. I mean, I know I've said this phrase before. I'd heard it a long time ago. We want to attack success. We don't want to fear failure. And, in those situations, you got to be willing to attack it, knowing that you give it your best shot, and sometimes it's going to work, and sometimes it's not, and you're not afraid of whatever the result's going to be. And in that game, in that situation, we know we had scouted the situation. We know we had practiced it well, and we knew we needed a spark, and, our guys stepped up and delivered. At this moment in our program, we're going to choose to believe in our players and let those guys go make plays. And if the result's not the result, I'm more than happy to blame myself. And when it is what it is, then we're going to shower those guys with the plays. We're going to attack success here.
What do you think of Brett Northway in his first start? How do you see the reps kind of working at that position going forward?
I thought he ended up with career high in targets and career high in receiving yards. And I mean, the only challenge I have for him is he's got to find a way to score on that wide open play. I thought Cody did a nice job trying to play forward and block for him. I don't see a whole lot of deviation from what the plan was Saturday.
Eli, turnovers have been a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
For you on Saturday.
Takeaways, yeah.
Yeah. How do you kind of continue that trend as you go forward here in the next couple of weeks?
I think it's just we got to focus on the ball. It's got to be on our mind. I thought the one that I was really proud of was Philip Roche's sack, because not only did he sack it, but he forced the ball out. And, that was just it's a constant theme for us that we have to be cognizant of that. We spent extra time. Last week we spent extra time on takeaways, and we spent extra time having officials come to practice to monitor and reinforce the discipline. And I thought both of those things showed up in that game. So, again, we can't pat ourselves in the back and seek the comfort of the praise. We got to go back and continue to recreate that process so that we continue to get the result we want.
I had a pretty big game on Saturday, but just how important has Darius Robinson's return to this team been this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a guy who's been voted 2-time captain, so there's a leadership quality that he presents to our team, but he's also an incredibly talented player with God's gifted him with size, speed, explosiveness. And, I mean, again, a tribute to Coach Peoples and his development as an edge player. And I think we all knew it was going to take a little bit of time, but you were seeing flashes in the K-State game and the Memphis game of him playing at a really high level. And I think the last 2 games we're seeing it, he's becoming a player that we believe he could be.
Last week, the secondary and pass coverage had arguably its best game of the season. This week, you're going up against a higher passing attack with South Carolina led by Xavier Leggett. How are you planning on limiting him and his explosiveness?
I don't know that there's a specific plan that's going to take shape. That it's not necessarily just a combination of taking him away. You've also got to affect the quarterback. You also have to decide what runs are you willing to give into so that you can create double team opportunities for the wide receivers. When are we going to play the man-to-man and not provide help? I think it's a combination of all those. But, defensively, we kind of set the tone. I think one of Coach Baker's strengths is he kind of sets the tone and makes offenses react to him. So I don't sense that he'll do anything a whole lot different.
Talking about the secondary, a lot of snaps for Sidney Williams and Trevez Johnson on Saturday. Looking back at the tape, how'd you evaluate their performances?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we were critical of ourselves of was just not letting our, we have a lot of depth there, and maybe we're playing some players just too much. Not from they weren't getting the job done. It's just sometimes you play better the fresher you are, both mentally and physically. And we really believe in Sidney and Trevez, and both of those guys have been playing a lot at a high level and have been playing multiple positions. So I thought, everybody had some good and some bad that they got to take off the tape. But they're proven to be guys that we can trust to put on the field in multiple situations.
Eli, I saw the news yesterday that obviously there might be some upgrades coming to some of the athletic facilities. I know that's official yet, but can you just speak to, the investment Desiree's made since she's been here and how exciting that's been for Mizzou athletics?
Yeah, I think it's a tribute to the board of curators, to Desiree's vision, and then the support of the president, all being in alignment, and look forward to seeing what that will be, when it's revealed. I'm obviously aware of those things, but I'm also in the middle of a season, so I haven't spent a whole lot of time trying to figure that stuff out. I trust our leadership and the vision of what they have, and whenever it's time to reveal it, it'll be like Christmas morning.
Eli, with Luke Bauer, how do you handle a kid who loses out on a position battle out of camp where only one guy's going to play? How do you keep him engaged, and what did you see out of Luke, knowing that hey, you might need him even if he wasn't the starter week one?
Yeah, I think, we have two signs in our team room: improve every day makes us better, and embrace your role, put the team first. And I think those two signs kind of describe exactly what Luke did. Just because you are denied at that moment in time doesn't mean you're denied forever. You got to just go back to the process of working and improving, and when your opportunity is called, you take advantage of it. And I think, that's the growth of our football team. It has really shown is that multiple players are doing that with their roles. I'll say this: Luke didn't on Tuesday. Luke didn't punt worth a darn. In fact, we yanked him out and put Riley in, yanked him out and put Blake Craig in there, and was trying to challenge everybody. That we've got to be better. But we didn't lose confidence in him, and he didn't lose confidence in himself, and understands that you're going to face trials and tribulations, and you got to be mentally strong, and you got to focus on your technique and fundamentals and deliver in the right moments. And that's what he did.
Coach, what's the impact you're starting to see from this group of freshmen?
Well, there's a play midway through I think it was the second or third quarter, and I think we had six freshmen or five freshmen on the field. So I think this class has been very effective. They're made of the right stuff. I've been very impressed with their mentality, whether they're on the show team or getting reps. I think the foundation is really strong, and I think we're clearly identifying guys that we know can help us. Recruiting has shifted so much from balancing how to build a roster with high school transfer and junior college plus your own player retention, and I think we're starting to kind of figure that match out. We knew in this class, whether it wasn't ranked very high because we didn't take a whole lot of high school players, but when you looked at the individual players alone, we knew we had some really, really talented guys, and that's showing up. I think we've played 8 already that aren't going to redshirt, and I anticipate there's probably 3 more that will get that many plays that make it worthwhile. So it's pretty good.
Coach, schematically, what did South Carolina do offensively, defensively that you guys got?
Yeah, offensively their scheme is multiple. It's pro style offense with a little spread flavor. I think Dow's kind of adopted the best of what he's been around. He's got his NFL background with Adam Gase and Shanahan. He's with Kyle Shanahan, and so he's got some of the outside zone, some of the drift concepts. He's got some tempo with Adam Gase, and then you see blends of what Briles did at Arkansas, some of the best plays from Arkansas too. I think he's really impacted the quarterback's technique and fundamentals, being comfortable in the pocket, knowing through what his progressions are, and then they got dynamic playmakers. I don't necessarily think it's a specific scheme. He's not necessarily married to one specific idea. I think he's got a lot of really good plays that he runs in multiple ways that really challenges your rules and your eyes on the back end. Defensively, Coach White is very multiple, and he presents things that look the same, but they're different. He's got multiple coverages. He's got 3 safeties that are interchangeable, whether it's the nickel, free safety, or field safety. And then his defensive line can play both odd and even fronts and get after you in a lot of different ways. So, again, I think it's the multiplicity of what they do that creates the challenges.
South Carolina ranks, I believe, last in passing yards allowed in the nation. What factors have caused them to kind of struggle in that department?
Yeah, I don't really look at the statistics. Like, I don't get caught up in statistics. I just watch the tape. And, look, on just about every play, that there's not very many times when players are just running wide open, right? Sometimes it's the quarterback from North Carolina makes an unbelievable throw, or they make a great catch, or, there's 2 4th downs in the last drive of the game that Florida throws balls that are well short of the down marker, and they just miss tackles. So I think it's a combination of, some of those players making great plays, playing against really talented quarterbacks. And we've always said there's no defense for the perfect throw, but it's also sometimes yards after catch opportunities. And again, they have played one of the most difficult schedules in the country. I mean, they played 2 top 10 teams, right? They played at Georgia. They played a neutral site game versus North Carolina. Played a top 20 Tennessee team. Just played Florida. So it's not like they haven't been challenged by elite players. So I don't think they're that far off. So again, our team doesn't care about statistics. We don't care about the record. We judge them individually for who they are and what they've done, and they've got good schemes and really good players.
When you look back at the film on Saturday, was Kentucky clearly kind of going in and saying, taking away the big play? And what did you learn about your offense that they were able to, do what they did despite not having a ton of explosive plays on Saturday?
Yeah, I was proud of the way our guys responded to the adversity of not being able to be as explosive as we would like to have been offensively. And I think, we as a staff challenged ourselves. Maybe there were some things that we needed to do better in the game planning preparation, or in some things, again, internally, that maybe aided in that factor. So I think, again, proud of our team, proud of our staff for finding a way to win and overcoming those challenges, but also took it as a learning opportunity for us to say, okay, there's some things here that we didn't do that we can't allow to happen on the road again. And so, yeah, I would think it's kind of a combination.
You mentioned that Luther's matured a lot over the last year. Are you kind of seeing that in his response to not his best day on Saturday, kind of bouncing back?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what does it mean, not his best day? Like, what do you mean? He didn't have 100 yards?
Yeah,
Again, we don't get caught up in statistics. We get caught up in winning and losing football games. And if we win, that's everybody's best day, right? And then you go back and look at it. But it's not like he didn't do everything he was supposed to do. He was impactful. He had 2 runs for positive gains. The run he had on 3rd and 6 might have been the best run he's had all season. It only gained 7 yards. But he had to make 2 guys miss, stiff-armed 1. He had the 2 catches right before half that got us into you're not always going to have a 100-yard game as much as we would like for it to be. So, and other players step up, and I think, yeah. So as long as we win, he's very excited. He's the least selfish player I know and have been around. I think he was more excited for Theo Weiss catching the touchdown ball at the end of half than anybody. He was running on the field when Marquise caught the fake punt. So, yeah, I don't see that he didn't have his best day. I think, other people stepped up. So it's not a.
Eli, outside of Cody Schur's touchdown run, he had 2.7 yards per carry, I think. How do you kind of continue to improve and work out that run game, kind of establish it as you get into the gauntlet of SEC?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it goes back to the very first thing I said, where, in my opening statement, where I don't think we actually played that well, but we won. But we have to go back and be critical of we didn't maybe have our best stuff. schematically, or didn't necessarily put our players in position, or we didn't finish blocks the way, or didn't create the right angles. So we got to go back and take a look at it. A lot of that is a tribute to them and their style of defense. You know, I think last year I went back and watched that game, and it was an abomination. I think we had like 237 yards against them. So, you know, I mean, they're pretty good. And when you play a good team on short fields a lot, you know, we didn't have to drive the ball a ton. Good thing, because we didn't really drive it consistently very much. You know, I mean, it's going to happen. But when we needed to run it at the end, we found a way to. But, yeah, we got to improve.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. No press conference next week, right? No 9 straight weeks? No bye week press conference? Sorry to miss y'all next week, guys.